Well met, adventurers. I'm Rants. This is Muscle and Magicka, and you, my friend, just accepted a quest. Now we're here today to answer the age-old question. What is the best item to order off of the Denny's breakfast menu? Oh no, I'm sorry, that's not the question. I was just asking because I was curious and I thought you might know. The actual question is, Rants, how do I prevent and or correct dysfunction that may occur as a result of my excessive gaming habits? Now the obvious answer is, stop having such excessive gaming habits, but anyone who tells you that is obviously a noob. And besides, if we did that, then this would just be the order of muscle. And that sounds stupid. And so it is that I offer you this very brief, basic tutorial quest on balancing your online adventures with your offline adventures in the gym. Now, although I am a certified personal trainer, that does not make me an expert on mobility. In fact, I can probably only cover you up to around level 40 or 50. If you need expert or master level training, then I suggest you go to a physical therapist, or better yet, check out my boy Jay Physique. He's a retired personal trainer, he's experienced, he knows his stuff, and he happens to have an excellent series of videos up on his channel right now on hip mobility. And hip mobility is one of the biggest issues that we run into as gamers and people who are just overly sedentary in general. Now, the problem we face is that as we spend all of this time and energy defending the world from all manner of online threat, our bodies assume some less than ideal positions in which our hips are chronically flexed, our shoulders are rounded forward, our abdominals are not engaged whatsoever, our necks are extended, and over a period of time what happens is our body learns this behavior and it actually alters the length relationships within the muscles. It's kind of like when you teach your Pokemon a new move, but in order to do that you had to delete an old move, and then you realize how much the new move sucks and you really wish you had never taught your Gyarados Constrict in the first place. Now it's important to realize that our muscles are not isolated. In fact, they're all connected through a kinetic chain, which is all part of a larger movement system, including not just the muscular system, but also the skeletal and nervous systems. In other words, they rely upon one another sort of like a well-oiled dungeon group, and when the healer doesn't do his damn job, everyone suffers the consequences. So a couple of things can happen when you take these compromised, faulty positions to the gym and throw them underneath the barbell. First of all, the muscles that have become tight and overactive as a result of these altered length relationships end up inhibiting the other muscles around the joint. For instance, if you've got a tight hip flexor, it will actually decrease the neural drive to your glutes. So now, not only do you have overactive tight muscles, you've also got underactive weak muscles that can't quite seem to activate. Now, since these muscles are inhibited and are no longer able to activate properly, they're no longer able to support the load that you're asking them to support. So what they do is they basically compromise and they get some other muscles to help them execute the movement. It's called synergistic dominance. And it's basically a fancy way of describing the exact same situation that occurs when you have to carry a teammate through a dungeon or a game of Dota because they suck. Ultimately, it's just a cascading effect that leads to more and more dysfunction further down the line. So if you've got tight forearms or elbow pain, it could be a result of what's going on up here in the shoulder. If you've got tight calves or knee pain, it might be because of what's happening in the hips further up the kinetic chain. But fear not, my friends. Fortunately, just like in Pokemon, there is a way to unlearn these crappy moves and restore the length relationships within the muscles. We have 3 quest objectives at this point. First, we need to release and stretch the overactive muscles. Now, I highly recommend you equip a foam roller and or a lacrosse ball for this. Now, you see a lot of people, myself included, doing this very fast, cursory foam rolling before their workouts, and I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. In fact, I believe it can help increase blood flow to the muscles and to the ligaments. However, you really want to make sure that you're pairing this with some quality time foam rolling, preferably on your off days, where you slowly roll the entire muscle, find those tight points and just sit on them for about 20 to 30 seconds. What this does is it puts pressure on the muscle long enough to activate something called the Golgi tendon organ, which basically, when excited, overrides the signal to contract that's causing your muscles to be tight and forces them to relax. Pair this with some static stretching, both after your workouts and on your off days, and you should be well on your way. Objective number 2 is going to be strengthening the underactive muscles, and this means you're going to have to reduce the weight on the bar. I know it's going to temporarily lower your damage per second, but look, if you keep on putting the same weight on the bar that your muscles couldn't handle in the first place, they're just going to keep on relying on others and riding their friends' coattails to success. And you don't want to raise your muscles to ride on their friends' coattails. It's bad parenting. Now, you can also add in some additional accessory work to help strengthen and activate the underactive muscles, but keep in mind, if you've reduced the weight, if you're doing your foam rolling and your static stretching, if your sleep and nutrition are on point and you're still experiencing pain and faulty movement patterns, it might be time to consider taking some time away from the gym completely. And I know that sounds counterproductive and I know you don't want to hear that, but look, spending a couple of weeks away from the gym is probably better than spending the rest of your life in Snap City. I don't think they even have a Denny's there. The final quest objective is to make sure that you're supporting these changes that you're making inside the gym, outside the gym, particularly at your desk. Some practical tips. Be mindful of your posture. And I know that sounds obvious, but remind yourself to sit with your shoulders back, your chest up, your core engaged so that your spine can be neutral. Place your screen at a location and distance that allows your spine to be neutral, so you don't have to look down or up or squint and lean forward just to make out those comments that are being made about your mother. Be smart about the placement of your keyboard and your mouse, so you don't have one arm back here and one scapula protracted. In fact, if you're a PC gamer, which you should be, buy a console controller, plug it into your PC, and play as many games as you can with that so you don't have to have any scapulas protracted. Because nobody likes a protracted scapula, unless you're doing a lat spread. Finally, it's not a bad idea to try to take a break every 30 to 45 minutes, and that might sound excessive, but look, Princess Peach is just going to be in another castle anyway, so there's no rush on that front. You're probably carrying your dungeon group anyway, so they're not going anywhere without you, and if they do give you grief, just do what I always did and play a tank. That way they have no choice but to wait on your... Now I know this has been a vague, general quest, but the truth of the matter is everyone's issues are going to be slightly different anyway, and it's usually not a good idea to try to diagnose specific problems over the internet. But if you have gained some experience points from this, don't forget to like the video, and if you want to see more quests regarding fitness and nutrition in the future, subscribe to the channel and join the ultimate quest for muscle and Magicka. Until next time, you lot of rants, logging out.